Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back, or welcome to my channel. My name is Austin, and today we're doing a little bit of a different video. We're getting real informal, and I just wanted to talk about something that I'm passionate about, but not necessarily something that's going to be preaching at you or anything like that. Today I want to talk about what's it like working for a church staff, and if that's something that you've thought about or you have been volunteering at a church and you're like, man, it'd be really cool working here full time, or you're wondering what you want to do and you have this thought that maybe I want to go into ministry, well then this video is for you. And if that doesn't describe you and you're not interested in working for a church or what it's like to be in ministry, then feel free to click off this video and go do something else. But today, since we're talking about this, I guess I'll give you a little bit about me. So as you can see in this shirt here, I'm rocking my FCF Church shirt, which I think is about half my wardrobe is apparel from the church that I worked at. And straight out of high school, I guess during my senior year, I had been interning at a church, and much to my surprise, at the end of that internship, they offered me a full-time position. And much to the chagrin of my parents and peers, I said yes. And for the next year and a half or 2 years, I worked on staff full-time at FCF Church as the digital marketing and video production coordinator, which is a really long and complicated way of saying that I ran the social media, led the photography team, and worked on a lot of our video projects. And so it was a church, or is a church of about 2,000 people and about a 20-person staff, and it was just the most amazing experience, and I loved it so much. And I'm lucky enough to still be on that staff now, but in a little bit of a different capacity. So while I was working there, I started getting opportunities to speak, and I was doing school online, and I just fell in love with learning, and I fell in love with speaking, and realized I had so much to learn that I wanted to go away and do school full-time. So I'm getting ready to move to Chicago here in a couple weeks to go to Moody Bible Institute, but I'm still on staff about 10 hours a week as just a social media manager there. So if you are interested in getting into ministry, I just want to talk about a couple quick tips and thoughts that I have of things I wish I would have known going into ministry, or things I think you should know, or things I learned. But this is just my experience, and every church is different, and every person's experience in ministry is different. So if you're in ministry and you disagree with me, let me know. Leave some thoughts of your own, or what it's like working at a smaller church or an even bigger church. These are just my thoughts and what I learned in my about 2 years that I've had in ministry so far. So I think the biggest thing that I would say to you, that if you want to go into ministry, is, first of all, that's awesome, and I hope it works out for you, because being in ministry is the greatest job ever, and I love it. There's nothing I'd rather do with my life. But I think something you should know if you've never worked in ministry before is that the people you're going to work for and work with are just that. They're people. And maybe your whole life you've held them on a pedestal. Maybe you've thought that your pastor never has bad days, or never makes wrong decisions, or is just always in a good mood. And I'm just here to tell you that once you start working alongside the people on your church staff and working for your pastors, you're going to realize that they're people, and they're going to have days that they make decisions that just frustrate you, or they're going to say things that just rub you the wrong way, or they're going to not be in the best mood one day, and that's okay. And I say this having worked for some amazing pastors who I just have the utmost respect for, and having worked alongside so many people on our staff that are just amazing. But they're people, and with people comes drama, and with people comes all the negative things that come with people, because we're people and we're a mess. But it's great, and you're going to get through it, but it might be a little bit of a surprise to you at first to learn that these people are people. My second tip for you would be to remember what ministry is really about. Because as we just talked about people, I want to launch into this idea that ministry is people. And no matter how technical your job title might be, like mine was digital marketing and video production coordinator, which sounds very technical, and I did technical tasks. I managed social media. I took pictures. I did video. That's all just very technical. At the end of the day, my job was still people, because ministry is all about people. So no matter what you're doing, the end goal of it is not a good finished product, but it's growing the people who are a part of it. So no matter what it is, your job is people. When we ask people to serve on our teams, when we have people help us out with a technical task, it's not so much for what we can get them to produce, but for what it will do for them. So I want you to think about however you're leading your teams, and whatever you're getting them to do for you is not so much about what they do for you and what they produce, but what it produces in them. How can you grow them even when they're doing something that might be really mundane? Because your job is people, and the job of the church is people. One of the biggest mistakes that I see happening in ministry that I'm really passionate about calling out and just working on is the fact that it's so easy for us to put production ahead of people. If you work for a church like mine, which is a large non-denominational church that puts on a big show every week, which is a lot of work. Sunday always comes, Sunday after Sunday, and it can be a lot. But it's really easy to put our focus, especially when we're part of creating that production, to put our focus on the production itself, because we can tinker with that. We can make it better. It's easy. It doesn't talk back. It's not messy like people. But the danger of this is that we begin to make production our ends and people our means. And when we make people our means, we see them as something that we can use up, that only serve a purpose for an end goal, which is a very dangerous place to be, because I see so often people burning out their volunteers in the name of the production. The production is what has to happen, and so we use people after people after people. We use so many people, and we build these productions on the graves of so many burned out volunteers. And I just don't think that's right. I think our job as churches is to recognize that it has always and will always be about people and growing people and the relationship with God. And so, yes, production is great, and I love a good church service, and I'm passionate about it, and I care about the lights being right, and I care about the sound being right, and I care about the music, and I care about the transitions. I care about the things that no one even sees. I'm just passionate about production. But only if production is a means to the end of growing people, of helping them bump into Jesus, of helping them grow in their faith and connect with others. You see, production is great, but it's a means and not an end. And so I just want to encourage you that as you get caught up in the grind of making Sunday after Sunday happen, and it's a hectic schedule and it's a lot, remember that production is your means and not your end. And I think that will really help propel you and help you be more successful in ministry. Another thing is recognize that ministry is hard. It's a lot of work. There's going to be times when you work long hours, and most church staff experiences are that you're underpaid and overworked. And I worked for a great church that really took care of us well and wanted to make sure that we didn't neglect our families and sacrifice family on the altar of ministry, and that we had a healthy work and life balance. But when it's Christmas time, when it's Easter time, you're going to work a lot of hours, and that's okay. I think the most successful people in ministry are people that have the mindset that I'm a paid volunteer. Because if you're going into ministry, you should be volunteering right now. You should be volunteering at the church that you want to work for. And if you're not, I'm not sure that ministry's for you. Because I think the best people in ministry have the mindset of a paid volunteer. What do I mean by that? I mean that you should have the mindset that I get to do this. I am lucky to do this. I would do this even if I was working another job. And I know you wouldn't be able to do all of your job if you were working another job. But I see so many amazing volunteers, amazing people that work 40 plus hours a week, and then on top of it, they come and volunteer during the week and on the weekends. And I want you to have that mindset, that just because I work for this staff doesn't mean that I still wouldn't want to go above and beyond of what I'm called to do, to just give back to the church, because I see this as a privilege. Far too often people go from being that person who worked 40 hours a week and volunteering on top to begin working at a church, and then they don't want to give anything extra because now it's their job. They don't volunteer at their job. But again, I think the most successful people have the mindset of a paid volunteer. You might disagree with that, but that's just my experience. And I think if you're going to make it through the grind of ministry, which can be really hard, you have to remember that this is a privilege. I'm so lucky to be doing this. I get to do this. How lucky am I to meld something that I love, something that I love so much as this church, with something that pays my bills. That's a dream come true. And so lastly, I just want to leave you with this piece of advice. And it's this one piece of advice that I got when I was going into ministry from my pastor, my boss who hired me, actually our associate pastor, who I just think the world of. He's my hero, and I would do anything for this guy. And I remember him telling me that only go into ministry if you can't see yourself doing anything else. And I thought that was a bit of a weird piece of advice, and because it made it seem like going into ministry was your last resort. But he said, that's not what I mean. In fact, that couldn't be further from the truth. What he meant by that wasn't that, hey, if you can't do anything else, then I guess ministry is an okay option. What he meant by that was, hey, don't go into ministry if you're having any second thoughts. Don't go into ministry if there's going to be days when you say, maybe I should have gone into this. Maybe I could be doing this and maybe I'd enjoy that more. If you think that's true, then go do that, because ministry is going to require everything from you. Ministry is not just a job, it's a calling on your life. Ministry is something that happens 24/7, because even though you may work 40 hours a week, you're always going to be representing the church. Who you are is as important as what you do. And so you are linked to your job in this very, very vital way when you work for a church. And so if you're wondering, should I be doing this, then go do that, because chances are you could make more money and work less hours doing something else than being in ministry. But if you have that fire in your bones that says, I want to work for a church, I want to give my life to the local church, then I think you found what you're meant to do. And it might be hard finding a job working for a church. It might take you years to land that job working at a church that you have dreamed of. But if you get that opportunity, walk through that door, take it, and enjoy every moment, because it's amazing. And so if this is something you're considering, I just want to encourage you, go do it. I think that it will be the opportunity of a lifetime to get to spend your life trying to grow other people, trying to grow the local church, trying to grow the bride of Christ, something that is changing the world. I believe that the local church is the hope of the world, and I'm so passionate about it. And I just, man, thinking that you might be interested in that, it just makes me so excited. So if you're considering that, I hope this video has been helpful. If you have more questions about what it's like working for a church, I'd love for you to let me know. Leave me a comment and I will for sure be answering that. And maybe if you leave a bunch, I'll just make another video about questions and answers of working for a church. I hope that you walk away from this video with more clarity as to whether this is for you or it isn't, and whether or not it is or isn't, I think that's okay. And I just want you to run down the path that God has for you. So again, if you've enjoyed this, leave a comment, click like, hit subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Until next time, guys, live fully, spread love, peace. Love you guys. See you then.